Good evening. My name is Kat. I have the pleasure of serving you as the current chair of Mystic Grove Cups, First Unitarian Church of Orlando's Pagan Study Group and Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans chapter. If this is your first time at the winter solstice, a special welcome to you. Our Unitarian Universalist living tradition draws from 6 sources. Tonight, as we celebrate the winter solstice, we draw on our 6th source, the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. This is not a pagan ritual. It's a UU service which includes little touches of pagan songs and readings that you might find at some pagan rituals. Our opening reading is The Longest Night, a solstice meditation by Andrea Hawkins Camper. The winter solstice is a time to look back upon our ancestors, gather our family and friends close, to rejoice in the return of the sun. It is a time of renewal, of hope, and a time of resurrection. For just as Aaronrod's wheel turns and the Oak King resumes his rightful place, so must we go on. On that night, the long dark reaches its zenith, and for the briefest moments, it will seem as if the Holly King's reign will be eternal. On that night of the longest dark, we are gifted a log of flame, remember the ancestors, and tell stories that bind us together as a people. Let us gather and sing the songs of our childhood, sing the songs of our parents and of our children, and of our friends and of our families. Let us gather and huddle close and light the log of this community. Let us feast and revel, and let us always remember that there is always hope for the coming year. In UU congregations, it is our tradition to be in worship with the lighting of a chalice. Please join me in our familiar words. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Our opening song is Midwinter's Day by Dam the Bard. It is sung by the Chalice Choir. I invite you to sing along to the words on your screen.
Over and the In some pagan rituals, a circle is first cast to help create sacred space. The classic elements of air, fire, water, earth, and spirit are then welcomed. For those attending in person, I invite you to stand and face each direction when called. If you are attending digitally, you can point to the corners of your screen. Please respond with "Welcome to our circle." We begin facing east. Air, fire, water, earth, spirit. Air. In every breath we acknowledge the atmosphere wherein we live, the elixir of our existence. Welcome to our circle.
Welcome to our circle.
Facing south. Fire, thwarter of cold, light against the darkness, symbol of the burning human spirit. Welcome to our circle.
Welcome to our circle.
Facing west. Water, nurturer of life, sustainer of growth, basic to every living thing. Welcome to our circle.
Welcome to our circle.
Facing north. Earth, where every seedling takes root, the ground of our being, our home and point of outlook. Welcome to our circle.
Welcome to our circle.
Looking up toward the center of the room from wherever you stand. Air, fire, water, earth. These signify the larger unity of all life and the glory of creation wherein our spirits are embraced. Spirit, welcome to our circle.
Welcome to our circle.
Please be seated.
Today's reading is from Kewin Sereth's book, A Book of Pagan Prayer. This is the long night. This is the dark night. This is the cold night. This is the night of last hope. This is the night of little spark. This is the night of turning from the darkness. This is the night of turning towards the light. This is the night of wonder. The long night is here. Come to us, you spirits. Together, let us fill the long night with light, calling all beings to warm themselves at our fires.
Today's collective reading is by Reverend Bruce Marshall. The words for the collective reading appear on the screen. Please respond with the words in all capitals. We live in many darknesses. We are often uncertain. We are sometimes afraid.
In the darkness, we light a candle of hope.
We all have sorrows. We have known pain. Each of us carries special regrets.
In the darkness and pain, we light a candle of forgiveness.
We are sometimes lonely, and the world seems cold and hard.
In the darkness and the loneliness, we light a candle of warmth.
We have experienced times of joy and happiness and have received numerous gifts of the heart.
In the darkness, with gratitude, we light a candle of thanks.
We have known awe, wonder, mystery, glimmerings of perfection in our imperfect world.
In the darkness, with wonder, we light a candle of praise. Yeah.
We'll just leave her. Yeah. We come together with our uncertainties, sorrows, joys, and wonder.
We bring together many candles, many lights.
May our separate lights become one flame, that together we may be nourished by its glow and befriend the darkness.
Our story today comes from German folk tradition. It was recorded by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm as Frau Halle. The version we are using this evening, titled A Visit to Mother Winter, is excerpted from Starhawk's retelling as recorded in Circle Round. As we enter the story, Joanna is sitting by a well outside the cottage spinning thread. At one point, she twists the spindle so hard that it falls, rolls across the ground, and bounces into the well. Joanna is afraid because she does not know what is at the bottom of the well, but she also knows that her family cannot afford to buy another spindle. So she lowered herself carefully into the well and began to climb down the rough stones. She climbed down and down and down until the circle of light from the top of the well became a tiny star and then disappeared altogether. Still, she didn't find the bottom of the well, but she had to go on. She had to get that spindle, so on she went. After a long, long time, she finally felt solid ground beneath her feet. In surprise, she let go of the stones. The well disappeared, and she was standing in the middle of a broad field of silvery snow. She could see no sign of either sun or moon, but the sky above her seemed to glow with a silvery light, and in the distance she could see a grove of trees with white bark that seemed to shine from within. Joanna began walking toward the trees, and soon found herself on a path that led beneath them. She kept walking on, keeping a sharp eye out for her spindle. At last she came to a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a huge old apple tree. Its boughs were covered with silvery snow and weighted down by apples with silvery red skin. pick me, the apple tree said. My limbs are going to break under all this fruit. Harvest me, help me. Joanna looked around and saw a big basket at her feet. I'll help you, she said to the apple tree, and she got right to work. She picked all the apples she could reach, and then she climbed high into the tree to get all the fruit that grew on the upper branches. As she picked, she began to feel strange and dreamy, to remember all sorts of things she thought she had forgotten, as if the apples were her own memories she was gathering. She grew tired, but she didn't stop until she had picked the last one. Then she climbed down, thanked the tree for its fruit, shouldered the basket, and started off again. The path led back into the forest of silvery trees, where the silver birds called high above her and silver gray squirrels ran along the snow-clad branches. She was tired and the basket was heavy, but she continued on, still looking for her spindle. At last, she came to another clearing. In this clearing stood a big old-fashioned brick oven. In front of the oven was a long wooden table, and on it were trays of unbaked loaves of bread, all nicely risen. Bake us, the bread cried out to her. We will spoil if we aren't baked right away and for just the right amount of time. Help us. Of course I'll help you, Joanna said. I know how to bake bread. She set down her basket and put the trays of bread into the oven, and then sat and watched while they baked. Again, she felt dreamy and sleepy, but this time she found herself thinking about all the things she wished for and planned to do with her life, as if the loaves of bread were her own hopes and dreams baking. Tired as she was, she didn't let herself fall asleep, but kept checking the bread until it was golden brown and crusty. Then she took it out of the oven, let it cool, and added it to the apples in her basket. She thanked the oven for its bread and started off again. She walked through the forest where the silver foxes darted among the trees and white hares left tracks in the snow. At last, she came to another clearing, and there she saw a house like none she'd ever seen before. The house was made of every good thing to eat she had ever imagined. The walls were made of honey cake and gingerbread, the roof was shingled with white icing, the steps were blocks of hard candy, and the railings were candy canes. The eaves were studded with peppermints and gumdrops and chocolate kisses. Joanna was very hungry, but she knew it was not polite to start chomping on somebody's house without asking permission, so she went up to the door, which was made of big lemon cookie, and knocked. The door opened, and Joanna saw a woman. At first, the woman looked very, very old to her. But when Joanna looked again, she seemed quite young. Her face was as dark as old wood or the young night sky. But when Joanna blinked, the woman was white and pale and silvery as a full moon on a field of snow. One minute, Joanna wanted to jump into the woman's arms and cuddle in her lap, but the next minute she found herself almost too afraid to speak to the bright, fierce eyes in the woman's face. I am Mother Winter, the woman said. Who are you who comes knocking at my door? If you please, Mother, I am Joanna, she answered. I have come searching for my lost spindle, and I have brought you a basket of apples I have harvested and bread I have baked. You've come to the right place, Mother Winter said. All lost spindles come to me. And you have brought me good offerings. I will help you, but before I do, you must work for me. You must chop wood to keep me warm and clean my house and make my bed. Gladly, Mother, Joanna said, and she got right to work. Because she had always helped the people in her village, she knew how to split wood with an axe, sweep floors and clean tables and wash dishes. Mother Winter watched all that she did and was pleased with her. Now, all you have to do is go upstairs and make my bed, Mother Winter said. Be sure to shake my feather bed out of the window and shake it hard, for I am Mother Winter, and when you shake out my feather bed, you bring snow to the places in the world that get snow, and rain to the places that get rain. So Joanna went upstairs and shook out the feather bed as hard as she could. And sure enough, in the upper world, snow and rain fell on the earth. You must be tired and hungry, Mother Winter said. Come have a drink of my soup and eat some supper. On the hearth, Mother Winter had a big cauldron full of steaming soup. She handed Joanna a dipper, and just for a moment, Joanna caught a glimpse of what was inside. The brew in the cauldron was dark as the night sky and studded with swirling stars and snowflakes. In my cauldron, you see all your dreams and possibilities, Mother Winter said. Everything that has been and everything that has not yet come to be is all brewed together. Now have a drink. Joanna drank, and the soup tasted better than all the candy and cookies in the world. It was nourishing and refreshing and exciting all at once, and yet that one sip satisfied her hunger. Here is your spindle, Mother Winter said, and she handed it back to Joanna. When Joanna took the spindle in her hand, it felt heavy, and when she looked at it, she saw that it had turned to solid gold. Then she and Mother Winter feasted on bread and apples. You have done well, Mother Winter said when it was time for Joanna to leave. You have brought me good offerings, you fed my fire and cleaned my house, and you have shaken my feather bed good and hard. When you return to your world, you will find you bring gifts with you, for I am the giver of gifts and the teacher of lessons. So Joanna turned all the way through the silvery woods, past the big oven, past the apple tree, out to the open fields where a dark circle hung in the sky like an open mouth. Joanna raised her golden spindle, and a thread of light beamed up into the darkness. Then, as if something above was reeling in the thread, she found herself rising and rising until she could feel the old stones of the well under her hands and feet. She climbed up and at last clambered out of the well. Joanna looked quite different from the girl who climbed into the well. Her features hadn't changed, but now her plain, kind face seemed to glow with a light of its own, and the goodness of her heart made her quite beautiful. Now, they say that not everyone who ventured down the well fared as well as Joanna. Not all started their journeys so generous of spirit or so skilled. Even so, the giver of gifts and the teacher of lessons sent them back with the lessons they needed to learn and the gifts that they had earned. At the center of some pagan rituals, there's an energy raising, which is then directed into a working. Today, we raise energy through song and dance, and then we will use that energy to bless the Yule log and the offertory. I will be your spiral dance leader this year, and for those attending in person, we will have a large spiral dance in the courtyard after the service. But to share our spiral dance with those attending from home, I'd like to see at least 4 volunteers come and join some folks from Mystic Grove. If you're attending from home, feel free to do a simple side step or a grapevine step to trace a spiral on the floor. To do a grapevine, think about your right leg. First, it crosses in front. Then it crosses in back. Then it crosses in front, and then in back again. As you dance, spiral inwards, and then when the spiral has become small, turn around and trace the spiral back out. In this way, we can dance together. The many spirals made one larger spiral dance across time and distance to express our hope for peace and to call out to the light above from down below. I invite you to sing along with the words on the screen.
among the flames, to dance among the flames. Fire transform me, bring me to my passion. Fire transform me, bring me to my passion. I choose life, yes, I choose courage. I choose life, yes, I choose courage. To dance among the flames, to dance among the flames. Fire transform me, bring me to my passion. Fire transform me, bring me to my passion. I choose life, yes, I choose courage. I choose life, yes, I choose courage. To dance among the flames, 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 to dance among the flames. Let's dance among the flames. We dance among the flames. Let's dance among the flames. So dance among the flames. So dance among the flames. Won't you dance?
Wow, wonderful. It is now the time set aside in this service for meditative prayer. And let's allow this winter solstice meditation of Christine Robinson be our guide. We join our hearts and minds together in a time of meditative prayer. Spoken, silent, sung, and shared. It is a precious time, and all precious times want preparation. So I invite you to settle yourself in a straight posture, both feet grounded on the floor, to take a deep breath. Hold it until you notice you need to breathe out. And relax. I invite you to close your eyes, for vision is the single most energy-intensive activity of our brain. These next few days are the days of the winter solstice, a time when those who are very attentive to the skies note that the sun, which has relentlessly moved southward on the horizon since June, seems to pause on its journey before beginning to climb northwards to center again. Solstice is a time of pause. So, pause. Breathe. Relax. Rest. Be at peace. Spirit of winter rest, help us to enjoy your peace in this quiet place remind us to pause during this season. Grant us awareness. Keep our gratitude fresh each day. May the songs in our hearts be blessings and insights to us and to others. And may compassion always shine forth from the depths of our hearts. May it be so.
One of the privileges and gifts of Unitarian Universalism is the encouragement to develop our own spiritual paths. We are blessed to have a congregation that supports the kind of worship we are now sharing. This evening's offering is given and received in grateful appreciation. Tonight, we continue to support our December Share the Plate partner, Healthcare for the Homeless. Ushers will pass the offering baskets with handles for a safe experience for all. You may also support our Share the Plate partner by finding a link to their organization in our weekly newsletter. Please let us know you donated by dropping a line to Gabby, our program assistant. We also invite your financial support to the many ministries of the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. You can make an offering in several ways. You can go to the orlandouu.org and click the donate button in the upper right-hand corner. You can send a text, or you can mail a check. The slides will appear again at the end of the service. As we sing together, I invite you to focus on the Yule log and offering baskets and fill both with your good thoughts and intentions for the new year. Keep any energy you need to recharge yourself and send any excess back down to the earth through your feet. our little fire, watching through the darkest night with our flames well lit. We help remind the sun to come back again with its promise of light, hope, and brighter days. We bless today's offering so we can share our light with the world and help light up others. We remind ourselves that we are the fire tenders, so the flames of justice, community, and love can burn brightly to warm us all. So mote it be.
Blessing for the Longest Night by Jan Richardson. All throughout these months, as the shadows have lengthened, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, preparing for this night. It has practiced walking in the dark, traveling with its eyes closed, feeling its way by memory, by touch, by the pull of the moon even as it wanes. So believe me when I tell you, this blessing will reach you even if you have not light enough to read it. It will find you even though you cannot see it coming. You will know the moment of its arriving by your release of the breath that you have held so long, a loosening of the clenching of your hands, of the clutch around your heart, a thinning of the darkness that has drawn itself around you. This blessing does not mean to take the night away, but it knows its hidden roads, knows the resting spots along the path, knows what it means to travel in the company of a friend. So when this blessing comes, take its hand, get up, set out on the road you cannot see. This is the night when you can trust that any direction you go, you will be walking towards the dawn.
I will shortly lead us in our sun candle lighting ceremony. Before I do, I'd like to remind you a bit of candle etiquette, if you will. We'll be passing the flame around from front toward the back. And there's a good way and a bad way to do this. What you don't want to do is tilt your candle over as here, see what happens? Hot wax. Not good. Keep the lit candle vertical, and the other person moves their candle in and receives the flame that way. We will share the light kindled during the ceremony with song. To get us started in our song, members of Mystic Grove will sing it one time through while gathering the flames that we'll share. Once the first round is complete, some of the singers will start sharing the flame. Please share the flame carefully with those behind you. Once your candle is lit, please join in on the song so that we can add the voices as we add the flame. The words will be projected, and I invite you to recite the words that are in bold. Okay. The wheel of the year has turned once more, and the nights have grown longer and colder.
Tonight the darkness begins to retreat, and light begins to return once again.
As the wheel continues to spin, the sun returns to us once more.
Even in the darkest hours, even in the longest nights, the spark of life lingers on.
Laying dormant, waiting, ready to return when the time is right.
The darkness will leave us now as the sun begins its journey home.
As the wheel turns, the light returns. The light of the sun has returned to us, bringing life and warmth with it.
The shadows will vanish and life will continue. We are blessed by the light of the sun.
Okay, and those that are going to be passing the flame. Spirits joined as one with the
Power of the blazing sun. There is strength in community, a spell empowering you and me. The circle binds yet sets us free. In God's name, so mote it be.
One spirit in the dark, like a candle wavers. Many spirits joined as one, burn with the power of the blazing sun. There is strength in community, a circle empowering you and me. The circle binds yet sets us free. In the Goddess' name, so mote it be. One spirit in the dark, like a candle wavers. Many spirits joined as one, burn with the power of the blazing sun. There is strength in community, a circle empowering you and me. The circle binds yet sets us free. In the Goddess' name, so mote it be. One spirit in the dark, like a candle wavers. Many spirits joined as one, burn with the power of the blazing sun. There is strength in circle binds yet sets us free. In the goddess' name, so mote it be. One spirit in the dark, like a candle wavers. Many spirits joined as one, burn with the power of the blazing sun. There is strength in community, a circle empowering you and me. The circle binds yet sets us free. In the goddess' name, so mote it be.
Just as we created the circle and welcomed the elements at the beginning, we bid them farewell at the end. As willing and able, I invite you to rise and face each direction when called. You can also point the directions on your device screen if attending from home. We began facing the center of the room from where you stand looking up, and then you will turn counterclockwise. Please respond with thank you for being with us in our circle. Facing center, Spirit, thank you for connecting us to the mysteries of the solstice.
Thank you for being with us in our circle.
Facing north, Earth, thank you for grounding our bodies as we celebrated the solstice. Facing west, water, thank you for lifting our hearts as we celebrated the solstice.
Thank you for being with us in our circle.
Facing south, fire, thank you for raising our energy as we celebrated the solstice.
Thank you for being with us in our circle.
Facing east, air, thank you for supporting our breath as we celebrated the solstice.
Thank you for being with us in our circle.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Please be seated. Our closing reading is Winter Solstice Prayer by Mary Saracino. Deep night, dark night, night of the longest sigh, soulful night, sacred night, night of the longest dreams. Cold night, holy night, night of unfurling desires, womb of the world, birther of hope, bringer of peace and goodwill. Pray, pray for all good things, that suffering for all will end, that life will thrive and generosity reign in the hearts of all humankind, that joy will rise and children will fly on the wings of prosperity. Oh, hear our plea this silent night, when the moon is round in the sky, when hopes are high and eyes are wide with delight and audacity. May love prevail tonight and always leading us back to our source. May we dance with the dark without hesitation or fear, and savor her promise of plenty. Deep night, dark night, night of the longest sky, may our weary hearts stay vigilant and receptive to all that is loving and dear. May it be so. And so it is done. Some of us will be burning the annual Yule log and keeping watch over this night. You'll be able to see our song for the sunrise on Mystic Grove Facebook page at dawn. In our heads, we know that the sun will return in the morning. We are confident that dawn will break and the sun will really bring its promise of light and warmth. The sun doesn't really need us lighting Yule bonfires and candles to help show it the way. We know this in our heads, but do we know this in our hearts? We all have moments of darkness in our personal lives when we aren't sure how many more days of darkness there will be. The light coming back in the world gives us hope that it will return in our lives as well. This is indeed something worth celebrating. Whether you have to leave us now or you choose to stay for extra spiral dancing and fellowship in the courtyard outside, know that the light of this community goes with you. You are welcome here anytime if you should ever need rekindling. Always, blessed be. Please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join our choir in singing our closing song, Deck the Halls. Lyrics will be on the screen.